Support for KAOS provided by the Secwepemctsín Island Museum's 13th Annual Water Sounds, live native art auction and traditional dinner, Saturday, September 21st, featuring woven, carved, and mixed media pieces from Northwest native artists. Proceeds benefit the Secwepemctsín Museum. Details at secwepemctsínisland.org.
Ha Matakeapi, this is Benjamin Sitting Bull of the Oglala Lakota Nation, the Tatanka Io Take Tioshpaye, and you are listening to KAOS 89.3 in Olympia.
I walk these streets tonight, past shadows and blinding lights. It took some time to see how I hurt you, and now I realize what I was really searching for was already on the inside. When I learn to love myself, I know how to love somebody else. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love. So I'm gonna take another breath, look into your eyes. While this mystery is unfolding, we'll need compassion to survive. Forgive ourselves, maybe we can make it through these times. For now only tears are falling, with a raven as she flies. All we need is forgiveness. All we need love. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love. This wisdom and a song, my only prayer now is for the world to come along. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love. All we need is forgiveness. All we need is a little love.
And that's new to the studio, and that's David Kai, and that one is Forgiveness, and there's a lot in the lyrics, and I just think that it's time for us all to be healing, and bring in the healing to ourselves, and then we can be out there doing that healing on the Mother Earth. And we got Julian on the line, Brave NoiseCat, and I just wanted to tell him thanks for calling in. I know that he's busy and he's traveling, and I want to first let him introduce himself, and want to talk a little bit about his writing. I know that he's a writer, he's a powwow dancer, among other things, and let him share a little bit. And what I was telling him is that to see our youth being out there doing what he's doing, I'm very proud of him. How you doing, Julian?
How you doing?
I'm well.
Wade?
It's Brian.
How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sitting here in my dorm room on the Upper West Side of New York right now,
All right.
taking a break from studying.
All right. So I've can we just get you to introduce yourself a little bit, and then we can talk a little bit about some of the writings. I know that you won some essay contest that's with the American Indian, the Smithsonian, and some other things on treaties. And I know you're a powwow dancer, and we'll talk a little bit about and share this half an hour with our folks. And Marilee and Pete said to say hello, and among other people.
Sounds great. All right, Wade. When Secwepemctsín Julian Brave NoiseCat, when Kikacha Alexandra Roddy, when Antoinette Archie NoiseCat, Hello, everyone out there in the Olympia and broader community. My name is Julian NoiseCat. My mom is Alexandra Roddy. My father is Ed Archie NoiseCat, and I'm from Canim Lake, British Columbia. I'm a student here at Columbia University in the city of New York. I'm a junior. I study history. I'm the president of the Native American Council at Columbia University, and I play hockey. I dance powwow, and I'm ready to have a nice little conversation here on a Sunday afternoon.
All right. And so I wanted to first just talk a little bit about your writing. I was browsing a little bit, and I noticed that you talk a lot about sovereignty, and wanted you to share a little bit tonight about some of the issues that you write about.
Yeah, so I guess I'm somewhat of a young writer, and one of I tend to write a lot just generally about the issues that my people face, and obviously one of the biggest issues in Indian country is sovereignty, which is essential to who we are as indigenous people, but is also always under attack from the colonial powers that be. So I've written a few things about sovereignty. I recently wrote a piece that was a cover article for the Columbia Political Review on the British Columbia Treaty Process, which is a modern treaty process in British Columbia. And I also wrote something in high school that won the Young Native Writers Essay Contest on the forestry industry and how that affects, essentially how that affects my community in Canim Lake.
So, I hear what you're saying. I know that Native issues inspire you, but when you write, how do you get started? Like, do you set with anyone, or it just comes flowing out of you, or how does that process work for you?
I think that the writing process is somewhat of a mystery to even writers themselves. I tend to find that the best way for me to start writing is to actually to talk to my mom about whatever I want to be writing about, and to sort of go from there. So I tend to, it depends on what I'm really writing for. If I'm writing for something that's going to have a serious, that's going to be read, I tend to take it pretty seriously, and I sort of try to talk it out to figure out exactly what I want to say, exactly what my position is on the thing. And then I obviously, I do an outline, etc. But, I don't know. The writing process for me, I don't know if there's other writers out there who have it down to a formula, but for me, it never flows from a formula unless I'm writing papers for classes that have hard deadlines, in which case I do, if I figure out the quotes I want to do, I put them on a paper, and then I use those to write my essay, which is a lot more straightforward. And obviously you don't have to worry quite so much stylistically if it's just going to be a graded paper.
So you pull a lot from the ancestors and the elders around and those that have lived. That's awesome.
Yeah, I tend to write how I talk as well, so I don't know. I guess that means that I sort of talk out loud to myself while I'm writing. I don't know. The writing process is very... I'm still trying to figure that part out as a young writer. The writing process is always something that everyone struggles with.
So what other forms of writing? I know you do essay. Do you do some poetry?
I only ever write poems. I've never published any poetry, but I have written poems for significant others before and things like of that nature. I did actually. That's not completely true. When I was a young kid, I grew up in Oakland, California, and there's in the Oakland Public School District, there's an oratorical contest called the Martin Luther King Oratorical Contest. Or actually, no, it's called the Martin Luther King Oratorical Fest that I did when I was from about the age of 10 to 13. I won it twice. And one of the years I wrote a poem called The Warriors of My Generation, which was basically about being a modern-day warrior. I think I wrote that when I was about 12 or 13. I was in 7th grade. So I guess I read that in front of a room full of people. So I guess that counts as being orally published or something along those lines.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So let's go into... I know that you do powwow dancing. I want to talk a little bit about how culture is important to you and to our youth out there. I do talk a lot about some of the issues that are happening in Indian country that with our youth that with the suicides and things that happen on the reses and stuff, and that there is other avenues, and we're talking to some of our younger people. What would you say to them to uplift them to that spot where where you're at and where other folks are that we know, and that they too can do this?
Yeah, it's obviously it's not easy out there for our people, for Native people, or for a lot of people out there. It's not easy. Particularly for the youth. And I think that I don't want to come off as being a traditionalist or somebody who says that the way to re-find yourself is only through tradition, but I think that there are ways in which people can make meaning with their life, even in very meager circumstances. And I think that as First Nations or Indigenous people or Indian people or Native Americans, whichever way you want to call it, one of those ways is through culture. And I think that we do have a very vibrant culture and a very living culture. And I don't think that, for example, in the Olympia area, powwow is not really one of the traditional practices of the Coast Salish and other coastal peoples, but it is a way to have a pride in your sense of self. Which, of course, as Indian people who were sent to boarding schools and residential schools, and we had our hair cut, and we were told that being Indian was bad, and that we had to become white people. That there's something not uplifting, but there's a sense of pride that can be reinstated there. That I find, at least in my experience, to be not always there for Native youth who have to still deal with the racism and etc. when they go into town to go to school or things like that.
Because I know culture is important to you and tradition is important to you and language, and I know that you've written about language and the use of alcohol and and bringing. I too think that I'm not a traditionalist in that sense, like what you were saying, but I'm trying to find my way back that way. And I know that for me that's the way out. And so can we talk a little bit about how, you pull from your culture and that's what inspires you to write or to dance or, to walk that way?
So I think that in pulling from my culture, it's not so much, a full-fledged return, but re-listening, I guess, to the elders, to the people, and to the wisdom that's itself within the language, which I'm just starting to study, and the stories, et cetera, that we've really been, that as Indigenous people, we've been cut off from. So I think that that there's, I'm a history major, so maybe I'm a little bit too romantic about what we can learn from history, but I think that there's wisdom there. There's all kinds of books that are written about, for example, place names and the history and the morals, et cetera, that they signify for Indigenous people, and obviously ceremonial ways and different things like that. And I think that that's something that we get cut off from, especially within the dominant society. And so, for me, I don't necessarily see powwow as returning to the things that my grandparents did or anything like that. I mean, I'm the only person in my family who really goes out in powwows, but I do see it as an opportunity to go meet people all over the country and learn about other people's traditions and old ways, because the powwow is an older thing among other First Nations.
All right. So, I wanted to just give you a chance to share about some of the other works that you're doing and in school. And I know that when talking to you last, I thought you were in California, so it surprised me that you're up in New York. But I forgot school is back in session.
Yeah. So right now, I write a blog for Indian Country Today called Powwow Reflections. I've written 2 sessions of it so far, right at the end of my powwow season, unfortunately. So the next Powwow Reflections probably won't have all that much to do with powwow, and it'll probably have more to do with stuff on Columbia campus. But that's basically about the different powwows I've traveled to, and the experience, and some of the different very short stories about my experience personally as a powwow dancer, and getting an outfit together, and picking up hitchhikers on the way out of the res, the powwow, and going to Walmart, and just sort of silly, fun stuff like that. And then I'm also working on, this summer I did language research, which I got a grant through Columbia University to go back and study my language, and it was the project was on our words for white folks, actually, for white people. So it's sort of a language and history project, and I'm still sort of working on that right now.
Are you collaborating with anybody with that, with the language? And
yeah, I basically all the oral histories that I gathered were either my own interviews with people from my community, or I interviewed a couple of people from neighboring Secwepemctsín communities, and then I also interviewed one of my relatives from Mount Currie, which is a Statlian community. But these are all interior Salish communities in British Columbia. And then some of them were also old archival recordings. So I think one of the ones that I ended up using, that I'm using for the paper, is held by the Secwepemctsín Cultural Education Society. And that one was collected in the late 80s and 90s, and it's entirely in Secwepemctsín, which is Shuswap language. And then I also used some of the oral history transcripts that are held by the Canim Lake Band.
Wow, sounds like a huge endeavor.
Yeah, it's supposed to be for the paper. It's supposed for the deliverable for the getting the grant money is supposed to be a 25 to 30 page paper. I'm currently on my first draft. I'm currently on page like 20, and still looking up at a whole bunch of stuff to cover. So maybe it'll turn into a thesis someday, or a book or something. I don't know, but it's been very, very, very fun to write. It was I learned more this summer about our people, about history, and about language than I ever have before, and it's been a great experience, and I think it's going to still be a great experience to keep writing it.
That's exciting, because I know a lot of elders that I know, they say that it's all in the language. Everything, there's certain prayers when it's just everything's there, and it's exciting when I have a couple other friends that have been learning their language, young folks, and it's really exciting. And we started on learning a little bit about the Michif way over in up in Canada, mostly towards Ontario. My wife and myself are Métis from Canada, but I'm more up towards Montreal, and she's down more Ontario, across from Detroit. So we're slowly learning. It's like you said, it's a huge process, and when we're around, nobody really around here speaks it, so it's all through, old tapes and websites that we've been able to find, and certain documents. So it's exciting when you learn, when you get right into it, and there's it's amazing that the language it holds so much about the people.
Yeah, it really does, and I think when I think that when you don't study language, so I knew very, very basic phrases in Shuswap, basically the phrases that all the kids know nowadays, which are like hello, come here, watch out, get out the way, sort of things like that. And I think that can sound sort of that the notion that everything's within the language can sound sort of either daunting or empty. But once you really start to study it a little bit, you really become alerted to the fact that there is a lot of information, even contained within if you just directly translate what something means into English. The understanding there is not only markedly different from the understanding in English, but it's also there's a lot of wisdom there.
Absolutely. And so we got about 7 more minutes. I just wanted to, I'm excited when I talked to Marilee and a few other folks that the work that you're doing with the language that you're talking about, that you're writing, and that you're out there, and you're positive influence among young folks, and it's just wonderful to see. And I just wanted to, share a little bit with you this evening with our relatives, just that what you're doing. It's just exciting, and we're very proud of you. And I know that you say you're not an artist, but I know that it runs in your family, and so I know that we're going to hear more from you. I know it.
Yeah, I'm not. My dad is the artist. I just doodle.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, I doodle, and I guess I'm decent at it.
Yeah, that's how it starts, and I'm excited to see in the future where you head with your writing and the language and art. So is there anything that you wanted to share with our relatives, that we haven't already talked about? I'm, like I said, when I emailed you, I'm kind of really laid back. I just I just want this is basically the people's show, and I'm grateful that the people want to talk and share, because it shows that Native people are still here, they're alive and they're well, and they're your neighbors, and we need to get to know them, and we got to start the healing process. And I know through education is one, and writing and talking about things that have, in my mind, have been pushed under a rug for 500 years. and we really need to be talking about them. You know, like the sovereignty issue that you talk about, and the treaties. And I know that I have a friend, Bob Campbell, that's a Sinaik up in the Kootenays, that he was talking about how they reworded the language because in the Black's dictionary, Native people don't exist, but human beings do. And so when they started to use these languages, the human being, and then they prove that they've been in the area for over 12,000 years, and they've had a pit house, and they're there, and they're not going away. That the Canadian government has to listen. So it's important for us to be sharing these issues.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you've said. I guess if I have anything to say, I guess with the limited time that I have, it would be thank you, first of all, to my mom and to my Kaz and to everybody out there who's supported me and who's helped guide me in their own way along my my few years that I've been learning and trying to do my best to be a good person in the world. I think that I'm incredibly grateful. I'm very lucky to get to school go to school where I go to and to do the things that I do. And I'm incredibly grateful to come from where I come from and to be related to all the people I'm related to, both by blood and by friendship and all these other ways. I think it's a blessing. It really is.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate you sharing with us this evening. And you're in Manhattan, so I'm from upstate New York, so I got into the city. Last time I've been in the city is 91, and I know it's changed since then. So, are you liking it?
Yeah, I like it. I haven't been stopped and frisked yet, so I until that happens, I think I will continue to like New York.
Yeah,
that whole stop and frisk thing is kind of.
Yeah, I got a good buddy that does a radio there at Tiokasin Ghost Horse. I don't know if you listen to First Voices Indigenous Radio, WBIA, out of New York. So you should check him out. He's a good guy, and he's there, and I think that you guys would get along really well. Yeah,
that'd be WBIA, you said?
Yeah, it's Pacifica Network. And I don't know I can't remember the call name, but if you Google First Voices Indigenous Radio, there he'd be. He would be a good resource. So, all right. Well, appreciate you sharing with us this evening, and I hope that we can continue to get to know each other. And if you ever need the airways for anything, just let us know.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you for reaching out. I guess the only people I know who would be listening is hello, Pete and Marilee, if you're out there listening. I love you. Thank you for letting me stay at your house a couple times this summer out in Olympia. And thanks for the opportunity, Brian. And I'd love to come on again and speak with you again sometime.
All right, we'll do that. So thanks.
Maybe I'll have a excerpt of a paper or something of this paper that I'm writing to read to you.
All right. Well, that'd be great. That would be great. Yeah. And just please keep in contact. I'm really happy that we made this connection.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Thanks. And